So as I was saying, everything you can see, most everything is due or going to be graded at 6 a.m. on Monday, with the exception of that research assignment. I have two for the at least for the first 2 weeks of class. I've got two principles of finance going on at the same time, and I do like to go through those research assignments pretty well. I want to make sure I understand everything and I can give everyone appropriate feedback. And the best time to get that done is Sunday evening. So always focus on getting that one done first, and then you can work on the other assignments after that. Um, so we'll skip down here. Let's talk over some of these assignments. First of all, participation when you show up is pretty easy, as long as you're working. As long as you're working on the stuff in class, um, usually everyone gets it, so it shouldn't be too difficult. The quizzes are due before class, so make sure you read through there. You probably already, some of you already taken the quizzes, but you'll notice they're timed quizzes, but there's no math involved with them. So it's all concepts from the M Finance book, the McGraw-Hill one. It's all stuff on finance theory. The conceptual stuff is what we're being quizzed over for each chapter. The Excel workbooks from class. So the stuff that you're doing in class, it's going to be beneficial for you for the homework during the week, but you're also getting points for it. So the cool thing is you show up for class, and by the time you're done, you get a few points. Downside is if you should happen to miss a class, you still have a workbook to do. Now, the stuff we're doing in class, we'll be doing all the work with the Timothy Mays book, the Financial Analysis for Microsoft Excel. So we're using the workbooks that came with that book. And so if you had to do anything else, if for some reason something didn't get done in class, perhaps you fell behind on something, or you wanted to redo something, or you weren't in class, or whatever, um, you can use that book to try and work through the workbook that we did in class. So I made mention already of the presentations that everyone will do when we get into class. We'll assign those presentations, and they'll be due during week 6. So the research assignment, those are going to be the major points through the week. So there'll be 2 files due every week. There'll be an Excel spreadsheet. You'll have some sort of an analysis problem that you will work out in Excel. Um, and the premise behind these assignments is these are preparing analysis that you're going to be sharing with management or shareholders. You're doing the analysis for some sort of an audience that is depending on an analyst to do this work for them. So presentation does matter. So it does need to look nice as well as also being correct. And so there's going to be a spreadsheet you're going to turn in there. And then I want a separate Word document with it. And this is where you're going to do a write-up on your analysis. So in a good analysis, there are 2 parts to it. There is the math or the numbers behind it, but then you also need to explain a lot of this analysis to whoever's looking at it, whether it be management, shareholders, or whoever wants to know the information. So it is double space, standard stuff, 12 or 12-point font, 1-inch margins. But it does need to be 1 page, with it being, not much more than 1 page. If you're getting into like a page and a half, you're probably going too long. Part of the goal of this assignment is to be able to explain to someone who might not be as well versed in the analysis to understand what the analysis means to them, how they can use this to make decisions, but being concise. I don't know if you run into this, but it seems like I get so many emails, so much text that I have to go through that I end up not going through it just because there's too much for me to do. And so one of the I think skills that I like to help people develop in this class is to be able to explain something as concise as possible, so that it does get read, but it does get understood as well. And I think there's a lot of people seem to feel that they're afraid of not giving enough information, and so they always think more is better. That they made sure they got all the information there in case someone needs it. And I believe we should be spending more work and be able to give the right amount of information. Because sometimes when you give too much information, then you actually lose more information, just because people don't pay attention to it. Reflection surveys. So each week, I'd like you to tell me something that you picked up. Could be from the reading, could be from the class, could be from something in any of the assignments, but something that made sense to you, something that was beneficial. And I need you to put a little bit more thought into it rather than just saying, I learned some function in Excel. So there's three parts to this. So tell me what the takeaway was, um, what impact it'll have, and where you're going to be able to use it. So I put an example in there of how someone learned about something, where they're going to use it, and how impactful it's going to be there. And then the other thing to put in there is to submit a question that you have. So after thinking about everything for the week, what you've learned, we don't have enough time to cover everything in this class, and so there has to be a question that comes up from it. Now that you think, every time you learn something, you always end up learning something that you didn't know beforehand. You start to open your eyes on more information that you need to learn if you want to go further into it. So that's where I'd like you to add a question on, okay, I learned about some particular method, but boy, I'm not sure how does it apply to this situation? And I do my best to try and answer everybody's question or give them some sort of answer. Sometimes they're not simple questions, but I do my best to try and shed some light on it. There's the online discussion forums. Now, sometimes the discussion forums do have some sort of a analysis problem with them. In one case, I asked you about should you take the lump sum payment in a lottery or should you have the payment over 20 years? And so when we get to it, you'll understand that there's a present value calculation involved. But sometimes one of the ways you could answer this discussion is you could calculate something, and the numbers could tell you should decide one way, but you might have some other non-financial reason to decide the other way. And so that's perfectly okay. There's not when I put these questions out there, the point is to discuss them. So it's not that I'm looking for a particular answer. I'm looking for you to calculate something and then add on to it why you'd want to agree with that calculation. Or sometimes in financial analysis, there's things in calculations that we have to decide to do outside of that. For example, I remember one time doing a calculation on on a line of business for in my day job. Should we go with one direction or the other? And the financial calculation said we should go with route A, but we decided, we're going to go with route B, not because we'll make more money on it, but there's some other side benefits that with it that was just really hard to put a tangible amount onto it. And so we had to understand the finances first, but then we still decided to do something that was the finances didn't look as good the other way, but there's all these things that we just couldn't quantify. So that's partly what would go into this discussion, is to add in things like that, where you thought it was effective. All right, so missing a class, we'll end up losing some participation points. You will still have to work on that Excel file that needs to get turned in there. When it comes to late work, so if it's not done like the day it's due, so the research assignments are due Sunday night, at 5 o'clock. If you get it in at 7 o'clock, then it's late, but that's only a 10% deduction. However, on Monday, then it goes down to 25% deduction. So make sure you pay attention with that and get stuff turned in on time. All right, so here's a plagiarism and cheating policy, which I copy and pasted directly from someone else's site or someone else's syllabus. All right, so here's some of the learning time. Here's kind of how here's some of my estimates for how long each thing is going to take you. Other stuff in there I'll let you take a look at. So that is the syllabus in a nutshell. If you have any questions before class, please feel free to contact me. All right. I think that's it. So these videos that you're watching, they are an assignment. It's not a graded one, but there is a spot in there where you need to check that you watch these videos, you've read the syllabus, and that you understand it. Again, if you need to contact me to understand something, please do so. You can ask questions in class when I see you on Friday. But if you don't have anything, then we've gotten this taken care of. And when we get into class, we'll go into the week 1 module, go into the Excel during class assignment. and,